To have me on, Kristen.
All right, so much to talk about, so little time. We'll start with the Pfizer pill to treat COVID, not to prevent COVID. That's an important distinction, just approved by the FDA. What is it and how well does it work?
So it's 3 pills twice a day. It's pretty much going to be a game changer, but there are some challenges. The challenges are that you kind of have to get it early and you have to have a positive diagnosis and you have to have a prescription all at the same time. If you do get it in time, it's amazing. 89% protection against going to the hospital. If caught within 3 days, 88% within 5 days.
That does sound fantastic, but when will it be broadly available? How much supply do we really have on hand?
So we don't have as much. It's going to be trickling in. I think the state is still trying to figure out how to distribute it, probably through community pharmacies. But the Biden administration has bought enough for 10 million doses, but of course, probably won't be ready, over until probably in a few months with getting all of that. But a few tens of thousands before the end of the year, and then a little bit more subsequently after that.
All right. The White House COVID-19 response team, the leaders held a news conference just in the past couple of hours. I noticed they talked about some new data with regard to Omicron. It does seem more infectious, and vaccines don't seem to work as well. But much better, though, boosters. So tell us what you know, what you just heard today.
Yeah, so what we know is that, yes, it's more infectious. It's probably at least 2 to 4 times more infectious than the regular Delta, which is itself more than 2 times more than the regular Wuhan variant. It's not as vaccine, susceptible with 2 doses. So 2 doses probably gives you 20% protection. If you get a booster, you can bring that up to about 70% protection. So, and then the other information, which is kind of exciting, is that studies from Scotland and then South Africa show that you're less likely to go to the hospital if you have Omicron, just in all comers, probably 2/3 less likely. But if a lot of people are infected, 2/3 less likely, or 1/3 of that population could still add up to numbers for the healthcare system.
All right. What percentage is Omicron now in the U.S.?
Omicron is 71% at least, more than 90% in the New York area, 71% in a Stanford lab. Gavin Newsom says definitely more than 50% right now in California.
All right, so it's taken over the space quickly. What about in terms of local growth in the Bay Area, in terms of our cases or test positivity? How are we trending?
So we haven't seen the full brunt of the storm yet. It's kind of like the rain is starting to fall, maybe it's drizzling. New York, UK, full hurricane, doubling every 2 to 3 days. In the Bay Area, is probably doubling every 5 days so far. So that's, to come.
Okay. So with that as backdrop, obviously it's coming at a terrible time. We have the holidays, people are traveling, people are gathering. So today, Dr. Fauci and Dr. Walensky talked about kind of a multi-layered approach to protections with regard to the gatherings. Can you kind of tell us what's the best way to go about it and what are those different layers?
Yeah, so remember again, even with a booster, you're not 100% protected against infection, although with all the vaccines, even two, you have a high chance of protection against serious disease. So to increase the safety of gatherings, if you smaller is better. Vaccinating and boosting everyone in that audience is going to be safer. And that's going to be safer for kids who can't be vaccinated as well, if you bring them into that safe space. And then testing, of course, is the strategy that many people are using. If you're going to a family reunion and it's a little bit bigger and you don't know who is who, it's going to be key.
All right, testing sounds great and it is important, but tests are kind of hard to get right now. Since we may have to ration test kits, like who would you prioritize?
I would definitely prioritize people with symptoms, first of all. I think it wouldn't be a great idea in scarcity to just swab everyone in general if you were stuck in a desert island, because the test performs better if you have symptoms. And again, I'd probably prioritize people who are in hot public-facing jobs, because they're probably going to infect as many people as possible. If you're staying at home anyway and you're not going anywhere and you're sheltering in place, you probably can do well with just hunkering down and doing the test when you can.
Okay, but let's say you have one of those at-home test kits and you have a kid coming home from college or relatives flying in for your, oh, there you are, Binax. Okay, how many do you have? Because I'm getting a little jealous right now. Because
I just have one left here because I can't get any from Walgreens.
Yeah, no, I know it's hard. So I guess my question is, what is the best time to test, right? Someone's coming in, do you test them the second they come into your household or before they even do that? Do you wait until you have the big party? How much before? What do you think?
Well, it depends on the, a big party. I probably would prioritize it for that. If that your college kid is coming home and your college kid has recently been tested, you probably don't have to test it again until the big party. If your college kid has had a lot of potential exposures, which many college kids do, and you have immune compromised people at home or elderly relatives at home, you may want to use that test earlier so that you just feel more comfortable at home.
I wonder if Omicron, though, does it mean 72 hours before is no longer a good gauge? That was kind of the threshold before, like test within 3 days. But now, because it spreads more quickly and infects people more quickly, it seems, does that change?
We don't know is the answer, but so far, the evidence suggests that it's a shorter incubation period. So you're right, Kristen. In Delta days, 5 days would probably capture everyone. In Omicron, it might be shorter, so 3 days might be enough. But most people are within 1 to 2 days.
Okay, I have tons of viewer questions here, so let's get through them quickly. Kevin wants to know, do I need to wait 6 months since my last shot to qualify for a booster? It's been 4 months for me.
It depends on your pharmacy if they'll give it to you, but there's no magic about the number 6. So, anywhere after 4 to 6 months is fine, biologically speaking. In the UK, they're trying to give everyone a booster, even if you got it less than 6 months ago in the next month or so.
Okay. Randy wants to know, are Delta variant infections declining or are they still increasing along with Omicron?
I think most of the new infections is Omicron, and that's a great question. Delta is being subsumed by Omicron, which is, crowding it out. It's not that everything is increasing. We think that it's mainly driven by Omicron.
All right, Daniel wants to know, is someone contagious right away once they've been infected or exposed to COVID, or does it take a day or two before they can spread?
Well, we know that before Omicron, you were infectious probably 1 to 2 days before you have symptoms, if you're going to have symptoms. So, it probably is at least that and maybe even shorter for Omicron because it's just more aggressive.
All right, Sonia wants to know, a lot of people are at home right now or doing the home test. If somebody took a home test and it was positive, but then they later took a PCR test at a local facility and that's negative, what should they do?
I would believe the PCR tests, if both were collected properly. There is some false positivity with the at-home test, but you're going to have fewer false positives if the community transmission rate is higher.
All right, before we go, I just want you to touch on real quickly, new data out today showing COVID as one of the leading causes of death in the U.S. this year, and also contributing to a record rise in deaths. And really, our life expectancy rate dropping. This is a lot to process. Give us the details there.
Yes, so basically when you take care of COVID, you can't take care of other, medical illnesses. So people with heart disease, lung disease, people are deferring cancer screening, all of that is well documented. Kids are deferring vaccinations. So that is leading to the excess mortality above and beyond COVID. And it's really sad that last year, this time, we were 300,000 deaths. Yeah. We have vaccines, and now we have 500,000 more deaths.
Shaking our heads. All right, folks, be careful. Take whatever precautions you can. Dr. Peter Chin-Hong, always great talking with you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Kristen.
Thank you. All right, coming up next, Cal State University, the system just announced they will require COVID boosters for all students, staff, and faculty. We'll talk with the chair of the Department of Public Health at Cal State East Bay about this next. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us today. We have a quick commercial break for you, a question that is, before we get to our next guest, who's going to be able to also answer a lot of great, important questions. But here is the one we have for you. How has Omicron impacted your holidays? Go ahead and answer that, and we'll take a look at your answers, and I'll share mine in just a minute. All right, everybody, let's see some of your responses. No change to holiday plans, Randy. Alexis, no one able to travel to China for holidays. Yeah, Don. All right, thank you for answering that. The California State University system has just announced today it is requiring COVID-19 booster shots for all faculty, staff, and students. CSU is the nation's largest four-year public university with 23 campuses and nearly 500,000 students. Here in the Bay Area, that includes San Francisco State, San Jose State, Cal State East Bay in Hayward, Sonoma State, and Cal Maritime in Vallejo. Joining us to talk about this major development is Dr. Arnab Mukherjee, CSU East Bay's chair of the Department of Public Health. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kristen. I'm glad to be with you.
So today, CSU joins UC and Stanford in mandating the booster. I know you're not on the policy committee, but do you agree with this move?
I absolutely do. I mean, right now we're dealing with a variant for which we don't know a lot of information. It is suggested that the transmissibility of the variant is rather high. And what the booster has been shown to do is reduce the chance of transmission and, most importantly, severe disease, hospitalization, and death quite significantly. So I think while we are on this winter recess, I think it's a good move for our students, faculty, and staff to be able to avail of the booster for maximum protection when we return in the spring.
All right, students, faculty, and staff, I think they need to have the boosters done by February 28th or 6 months after they completed their original series. Now, if they don't comply, do you know if they lose their spots? Do they get deregistered, or are they just having to take their courses by not coming on campus somehow?
You know, I don't know that because, as you mentioned, I wasn't part of the policy-making decision. What I can understand is that if folks don't comply with the February 28th deadline, I can presume that there will be good faith efforts to get them up to compliance, and then it'll have to go through the process that's either through our student conduct code or for faculty and staff, what has been negotiated with their unions.
Okay, and I assume with the booster, it's the same as the original shots, medical and religious exemptions still allowed, right?
Absolutely correct.
Okay, do you know on your own campus, you're based at Cal State East Bay, right? If there were students who dropped out after the October 28th deadline to upload the original vaccine proof?
No, in actuality, my understanding, and I can only speak on behalf of my department, which is one of the largest at Cal State East Bay, we did not see a significant drop-off after the deadline for the original full regimen. So, but yeah, so I didn't see any noticeable drop-off at that point.
Okay, what's been the surveillance protocol for the campus community, and do you see anything changing come next month when people come back due to Omicron?
So what happens is, generally speaking, when a student, you know, as a public health department, if somebody has any symptoms that might be related to COVID, we ask them to stay home. The protocol then becomes that the university becomes notified, and then they're asked to contact the student and ask them to take a test, procure a negative result, or quarantine for the 10 days if they're positive, and then secure clearance to return back to campus.
Okay. Look, CSU seems to have done a pretty good job, especially here in the Bay Area. I know very few cases, you know, some of the lowest in the nation, so let's hope that continues. But for those who are planning to travel for Christmas or New Year, what is the #1 thing you want them to know before they return to campus? Students, faculty?
Yeah, so I think we have a great arsenal of tools right now. This is not March 2020. We have a great arsenal of tools to combat our ability to deal with this virus. The first thing I would do, not surprisingly, is to get vaccinated if you're not, and if you're not boosted, to become boosted. Secondly, I would avail of trying to get a rapid test. I know, as the parent of 2 children, that I have a whole host of them at home just because I don't know what will come my way. So especially when you're congregating with people whose vaccination status is unclear, or you're congregating with people for which there's a large number of people, I strongly urge people to engage in rapid testing prior to that and upon return home. And I would also ask that students, prior to coming back to campus, either take a rapid test or avail of the testing resources we have on campus to make sure they're in the clear. And if they need to isolate, the one thing that we seem to know about Omicron is that the trajectory of disease seems to be much milder, which is a good thing. But of course, we want to make sure that they don't infect other folks, not only on campus, but their loved ones and other people they're surrounded with.
Right, right. Look, as you mentioned, Omicron does seem to be more infectious, spreads more easily. What do you say to college-age kids You know, if they're saying, why should I forego my fun activities or events, gathering with my friends, even if I do get infected, I'm fully boosted and I won't get really sick? What do you tell them?
So I tell them that your behavior doesn't affect just yourself, but it affects those around you. Our students at Cal State East Bay, they live in multi-generational households, they work in community settings, many are parents, many are caregivers. So what I tell them is be conscious of who in your circle, your social circle, your family circle, your professional network, may not have the same luxury you have of not getting severely ill. And act prudently to do that. So, I mean, one of the things that we emphasize at our university is making sure that we care not only for ourselves, but our fellow human and our community members. And I think this is one small way we can do that. Nobody says to stop having fun. Nobody says to stop doing the things that you want to do, but act judiciously, act prudently, and think about if it was your parent or your grandparent and you put them in a compromised position, how you would feel about that after the fact.
Dr. Arnab Mukherjee, CSU East Bay's Chair of the Department of Public Health, thank you so much for your time and insight today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Happy holidays. All right, coming up next, a Cal football coach's son deals with epilepsy and daily seizures, but it's actually inspired him to give back. He's 10 years old. It's amazing. We'll talk to the family next. All right, everybody, revisiting our commercial break question for you. And I will read some of your responses from last time around. Oh, do we have that ready? Your plans for the holidays? There you are. How has Omicron changed your holidays or impacted it? So let's see what some of you are saying. Let's see, Kelly. Oh, actually, this is not a Omicron plans thing. It's really your question, Kelly, is 12 to 15-year-olds got their vaccine 6 months ago now. When will boosters be available? That is a good question. With regard to boosters, that process is still being considered, hopefully in the next month or so, but we're not sure. All right. Dawn, Omicron has not affected your holidays in the least. I hope that's because you're fully boosted and protected, in which case they do tell you you can carry on with your plans. All right. Travis, what's your question? Stop making ridiculous names every few months. Well, they're not exactly ridiculous names. They are Greek letters. And so, you know, it's pretty typical in the medical scientific community to have like names named in a series when you have variants. So there you go. In terms of hoping that we won't have to name new ones, yeah, hoping we won't see new variants. That would be nice. Then they won't have to name them. All right. Coming back shortly. How much time do we have, Eric, with the next guest? Okay. 15. And Eric, we do have VO and Assat, right? Or just the SOT? Okay.
Back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Though Cal's football team encountered challenges this year, including a COVID outbreak, it finished the season on a high note, having won back the Axe from Stanford and having beaten USC at home in the final game earlier this month. But there's no rest in the offseason for Cal's running backs coach. That's because he's busy supporting his young sons who run a foundation to support kids with epilepsy. It's called Helmets for Helmets.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson, Mr. OBJ, Mr. Brady, thank you, Pete. Manny, Rob Gronkowski, Martin Lynch, JJ Watt, thank you, Aaron Rodgers. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it.
And joining us now is the co-founder of the foundation, 10-year-old Bryson Thompson. Oh, and his parents, of course, Coach Aristotle Thompson and Sarah Thompson. Hello, Thompson family. Happy holidays.
Hi, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bryson, I really love what you're wearing there. Go Bears. Bryson, you are the co-founder of Helmets for Helmets. That means you're the boss, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay, looking at mom. You and your brother ask professional and college athletes to donate autographed helmets and jerseys. Tell me, what do you do with those donations?
We take them and we auction them off either online or we have done some live auctions. And we take that money that we raise and we buy helmets like the one that Bryson's wearing right now for other kids who have epilepsy so that they can run around and play sports and do all the things that, you know, I don't like to use the word regular, but that any other kid wants to do.
Yeah, that is so amazing. And of course, there's a personal story here. Bryson has epilepsy. Sarah, how old was he when he was diagnosed?
He was 4 years old when he was first diagnosed and started having seizures completely out of the blue.
Okay. And Coach Thompson, how did Helmets for Helmets begin?
Helmets for Helmets began when the boys wanted to find a way to give back to another charity that has stepped up to help us with resources. And it was the boys' way of wanting to give back. And so we reached out to a couple of other coaches and some other professional players. They kind of grabbed my phone and started sending out text and Instagram videos, and away it went, you know, from the boys' thought of wanting just to give back.
Now, did I read that your insurance company would not pay for a protective helmet for Bryson?
That's correct. They denied it, said it was not an essential need for him. So they shot down that request, which led to another nonprofit organization helping out and getting an initial helmet, which is the old helmet that's shown now in the picture.
And Sarah, of course, that helmet is very much needed during a seizure. Talk about that. What happens during the process for him and how that helmet that he has protects him?
It is. So when Bryson has a seizure, he can be standing or sitting at a table like we are now, and he will just drop head first. So he's hit his head on tables, on floors. It's very dangerous, and he can have anywhere from 1 to 100 a day. There's not a day goes by that he doesn't have a seizure. So it's extremely necessary to keep his head protected, obviously, and just to keep him safe for, you never know when one's coming. He could be riding a bike, he could be, laying down and sleeping, you just never know. So to keep his head protected, so that he can do all of the things that he wants to do, is so important and just amazing.
It really is. And I love that name, Helmets for Helmets, because you're getting donated helmets and then you get the protective helmets with the money raised. Coach Thompson, I want to ask you, you mentioned using your network a little bit, your football network, to get them started, but you make the boys do the legwork in terms of like knocking on doors, don't you?
Oh, you have to. This is something that they wanted to do, and part of doing things that you aspire to do, you have to do the legwork, and you have to be willing to open yourself up and talk and communicate to people. And, you don't ask, you don't get. So it's important for us to give them a foundation of being able to interact with other adults and other people and being able to articulate what they want.
Yeah, and I heard in their video, them thanking some of the biggest names in football, Brady, Gronkowski, many more. Look, how many jerseys and helmets have you gotten?
Over 60. And it's amazing because these athletes are reaching out to us now, and Mr. Zach, reaching out to us now and asking us if they can send us helmets. People like Adrian Peterson reaching out and asking, hey, I really want to send you a helmet. Is that okay? It's just, it's so heartwarming to see these athletes who are regular people and wanting to help so much, have such big hearts to help.
Well, I think it's because of your pitch man, Bryson,
Yes.
and his older brother, of course. But Bryson, what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to be?
A baseball player.
Baseball? Baseball? Not football?
He likes football, but he loves playing baseball. He will watch football and he knows every single thing about the Saints and all the players, but he loves playing baseball.
Awesome. Okay. Well, Bryson, can I tell you a secret? Baseball's my favorite sport to watch as well. Oh, yep. Sorry, Coach. I will say I was at the USC Cal game. That was a fun one. Congratulations on a great season. And congratulations, Bryson, to you and your brother for Helmets to the whole family. Happy holidays, you guys.
Happy holidays.
Happy
Thank you
holidays.
so much.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing your story. We'll be right back.
In commercial break.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Heartwarm. That was just the best story. I love them. Shoot me a comment here if you enjoy meeting the Thompson family. Oh, they're still there? Excellent. You're still there. Yay. We have about 2 more minutes to finish up on Facebook Live. We finished the TV part of it. So, but this is just fantastic. I like to know, what is your next step? I know you've gotten over 60 items and, you know, the auctions have been going. Is there a next step plan for the foundation?
We really want to do another live event, and would like to, our last one was in New Orleans. And so we would like to do one up here in San Francisco next. And really, you know, as everybody else, we had to take that break with COVID, but really want to build back up and be able to help these families who are in so much of a need right now, because it wasn't just our insurance, just insurance does not cover these helmets for these families that, and they can be anywhere upwards of $6,000 a helmet. So
wow,
it's really important. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Look, so how can folks help? Give them your website, web address.
It is helmets, the number 4 helmets.com. And you can go there and we have all the information. We will post new stuff. We just got a new helmet signed by Peyton Manning. So we'll kind of be posting all this stuff that we're starting to receive again.
Nice. That is fantastic. Okay, so even if people don't have a helmet or a jersey to donate, they can contribute some money, or that provide financial support?
Yes, that would be amazing. We have a link on our website where people can donate directly to Helmets for Helmets, and every single penny of it goes directly to these families.
All right. Just want to share, some of our Facebook viewers here have comments for you guys. Alex says, lovely family. Robert says, awesome. I could not agree more. So Thompson family, thank you so much again for being on. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you so much for joining us today on this interactive show, Getting Answers. We covered a lot of COVID headlines, including Pfizer's new antiviral pill to treat COVID was approved by the FDA. Governor Newsom also announced booster requirements for healthcare workers and new expanded testing access for students. We'll be here every weekday at 3 on air and on live stream answering your questions. I'll see you at 4. Bye-bye.